Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I was looking at somebody else's content and I saw in the comment section a trade idea that I thought was pretty interesting. They were essentially saying, what would you think of the Lakers getting Tre Jones and Keldon Johnson? That was really all it said. And I did a little trade room tracker stuff, and basically the salaries would match with Gabe Vincent and D'Lo's expiring. I don't know if San Antonio would be excited about doing a deal like that necessarily, because Keldon Johnson is somebody they really had in their future. Somebody that probably fits very well with what their timeline is at this point, up-and-coming player. So the likelihood, if I'm San Antonio, I probably am cool on this deal unless you're adding something to it like picks, first rounders, which I don't know that from a Laker perspective is really what I want to do in this trade. But if we can make it happen, if San Antonio will be willing to take second-round picks or something like that, that would be really a good path for me in being happy. Or if they just don't want to take any picks at all, and we can just give them D'Angelo Russell expiring and Gabe Vincent for Tre Jones and Keldon Johnson, which, like I said, if I'm San Antonio, I don't see that. But, you know, from a Laker perspective, I would love to do something like that. Newsflash, I would love to win any trade, right? That kind of goes without saying, but I think just from a piece perspective, Tre Jones would help us with our point guard position. He is expiring also, so you would need to negotiate with him, but he's a nice up-and-coming player who can play the point guard position at a nice level, productive. I don't know if he facilitates quite as well as you need him to in most situations, but given the fact that we have LeBron, we have Austin, I think he would be a nice piece to have. Scoring the ball and just kind of doing some of the combo stuff that he does. A younger Gabe Vincent with not as much defense, I guess. I'm not really sure how he does on the defensive end, but I'd imagine he's not a defensive player. But he's a young point guard that I think would fit very well in our post-LeBron AD vision. And then Keldon Johnson's a player who is a tweener in regards to those timelines. He can fit both a win-now situation and a win-later situation. Good rebounding, power forward, small forward combination. A guy that I can see doing great as our starting small forward, just helping us stretch the floor. He's had some losing ways. We saw him shoot very poorly. I thought it was done on purpose to help them tank for Wemby. The year they tanked for Wemby, but his shooting numbers kind of fell off. But he's still young enough to where you can be very excited about him being a nice, legitimate small forward piece. The problem with the Lakers forwards is that we often have one position forwards. You can either play the power forward, but not really necessarily a small forward, that kind of thing. Keldon Johnson erases that problem. It doesn't force us to kind of use other guys at the small forward position too much. Can give you a nice running mate next to Dalton Connect if you want to run connected to two. Or if for some reason you want to move Connect to the three, he can play in the rotation with Dalton at the four. So that's what I like. A guy who can play some defense, should in theory be a nice defensive player. Probably going to have to work with him and some of that stuff because some of them habits of playing for a tanking San Antonio team probably is laid so that he's not the greatest defender and winning intangible player right now, but he's definitely a guy who's probably excited about being a part of a winning situation. Not to say that he's not in one, because San Antonio is probably going to make a nice leap over the next several years, but I think for his timeline and what it is his contract represents, he'd probably be a great running mate next to Bron and AD. A younger piece than, say, a Jeremy Grant, a probably more productive piece than some of the other guys that we're going after. Maybe a guy as good as Cam Johnson, I know a lot of people want. Probably a team like San Antonio is maybe less likely to want to take picks back for these players than maybe a Brooklyn is, who's just beginning their rebuild. San Antonio is probably ready more so to pivot into winning. And when you consider the idea that they can have that much salary coming off of their books, I think the incentive for San Antonio, in theory, is that they would have Keldon Johnson's 3 years coming off of their books and more of that salary going into an expiring contract like D'Angelo Russell. You could put them in position to put a nice little running mate next to Wemby next year. That may be an upgrade from Keldon Johnson. More salary coming off the books sooner. Kind of create more of a vision around Wemby is my idea of it. And the team that I think would probably be more likely to be happy to have Gabe Vincent than some of these teams that we're preparing to make a trade with, because they're probably ready to pivot into a win now situation, and Gabe Vincent's more of a win now player than probably Brooklyn or the Trailblazers want. You see what I'm saying? And with Gabe Vincent going to San Antonio, playing with CP3, that kind of puts them in a position to have an older backcourt, more winning, likely to be ready winning a backcourt than what they have right now. With Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, and he's been there for a little while. Sometimes you think about a guy like Keldon Johnson and maybe say a change of scenery would be good for him. I think his contract's pretty good for what you expect him to be over the next several years. They do also have some players coming in who will probably make his role a bit diminished. Devin Vassell taking a step forward. Stephon Castle coming in, who's likely going to play a lot of positions, wants to play the point guard, so that's one reason to move on from Trey Jones. It allows him to have more of an opportunity to play that, and it just gives him a kind of a balanced situation to allow some more of those forwards to play more that they have. So I don't know. Like I said, if I'm San Antonio, this is not really a San Antonio plus trade in my mind, unless we add some pick equity to it. They're probably going to want first rounders. That's when I hang up the phone. But if they want to do a straight up trade for those two players, that would be great for us. And if they're willing to take back second rounders, we could probably make it sweet for them if the Lakers are willing to do that. So, I wonder sometimes if Laker brass throws stuff out there for guys to kind of talk about and see what the temperature would be on certain trades. And I had just an idea that maybe that might have been what I was looking at when I saw that in the comment section of someone else's content. I was like, are they trying to get a feel for whether or not we would feel that trade? Maybe. The odds of that being a thing could be decent, given the fact that we really haven't had a lot of moves being made, and this was a new trade rumor type of thing that would otherwise arise. And I would imagine San Antonio, like I said, if you're trying to find a team that would more likely be willing to take a player like Gabe Vincent, it's probably somebody who just signed Chris Paul. You see what I'm saying? Rather than some of these other teams that I've already said. It's probably a hard go trying to get something good for Gabe Vincent or finding somebody that would have some use for Gabe Vincent. I think San Antonio probably would. So that's kind of just my gut talking. And maybe that's Laker brass trying to get a feel for whether or not that would be something we would okay. And that's why I made this video. Maybe, if we're giving up 2 first-round picks to make that trade happen, no. If we're giving up 1 first-round pick to make that trade happen, no. I understand that you can put protections on first-rounders that could protect you all the way up to like the 7th overall pick, 6th overall pick, and stuff like that. So in trading first-round picks, I would definitely want protections on it. But for me, I just think it's safer just not to trade the picks entirely. But protections can definitely keep you from giving up your next great player in trade just to make a move. So, yeah, I think for me, the reason why I never mentioned protections in willingness to trade first-round picks is because over the last 2 years, I've saw what type of value we've gotten outside the lottery. Now, of course, we passed up on that value last year in not taking Cam Whitmore, but 5th overall value came to us last year with the 17th overall pick. And then this year, we also were able to get Dalton Knecht, who some had going as high as 5 as well. So for me, it's like, once you start looking at these drafts, yeah, you definitely want protections on traded first-round picks. But for me, I've found so much value at 17 to where even if it's not a great pick, I feel like I can find a good player. So for me, I don't want to give up picks, especially when the draft that's coming up is a good one. Or rather, well, we already gave that away. That's with the Hawks. But some of these drafts that are coming up are going to be good drafts. I feel like there's a decent chance I'm going to find better value with the pick that I get, regardless of where it is. So for me, I don't want to trade picks even if there's protections on them. That's basically what I'm saying to you. That's why you never hear me say that. I want my pick even if it's a 20th overall pick. I feel like teams are finding great value in these drafts over the last several years. So that's why that's really something that needs to be said. I would not feel all that great about giving up first rounders under any circumstance. But nevertheless, that's something I just wanted to say and throw in this video. San Antonio, I'm not certain how eager they would be to move on from Keldon Johnson. But if I were in their circumstance and I was considering moving for Keldon Johnson, I would probably want to move him for an expiring contract like D'Angelo Russell's. The bulk of that money, not the entire thing, because I think Keldon's 3-year deal makes up like $27 million a year, something like that. But, you know, Gabe Vincent coming in for 2 years on an $11 million contract, you moving on from Tre Jones, who you may not re-sign anyway, and Keldon Johnson, who's on the hook for the next several years. Probably it'd be best to just come off the books entirely for the majority of that salary coming off the books next year, so you can do more with it that fits Wemby. So that's really what I would try to sell the San Antonio Spurs. There are also other things they could send us. We could send them. They could try to make it more attractive to both teams. But for me, I like the idea of bringing in Tre Jones because we need a point guard. We probably should have picked up his brother. He went on to Phoenix, as we all know. But we could use him. He's coming into his own year 3 or year 4, underrated point guard, productive guy. And then Keldon Johnson, I just think is a nice piece who probably could use a change of scenery at this point in his career. And I like the idea of having a real small forward on our team because I think it's in some ways we're asking people to play the small forward who don't need to be playing the small forward. Connect, I'd like to see him run a little more 2 than 3 in some cases. I don't want Rui playing the 3 too much. I don't want Bron playing the 3 too much. Vanderbilt, I can't trust to score the ball, so I don't necessarily need him at the 3 all the time. You see what I'm saying? Bring me a Keldon Johnson that I can solidify as my 3, who's not stuck at the 3 in case I want to move him around, and then we can have a little more solidified balance with the rest of our roster of guys who we probably want to play the 3, who probably aren't best to play the 3. So that's really what my thinking is, man. I think Keldon Johnson solidifies that at probably a lesser price than some of these other 3s that we're targeting in trade, allowing us to move on from Gabe Vincent to a team that's more likely to want to take him without taking back more to dump him, that kind of thing. So that's really what it is, man. It just kind of lines up for my Lakers side of things. So that is my video. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Hope everybody enjoyed the Kobe and Gigi statue reveal. I didn't see the ceremony. I don't even know if it was televised, but it's now my favorite statue in the world. And what else? I think that's also, one more thing. Bruno Fernando, I didn't mention this. I probably would have if I were in the swing of things. But Bruno Fernando was released by the Atlanta Hawks, I think he was with. And that's somebody I said we should probably try to trade for. So now that he's a free agent, I think we should pick him up. I don't know if we can create a roster spot. I don't know if he's priority to create a roster spot for. But given the fact that you need a big center and one just hit the free agent market out of nowhere, it would make a lot of sense for us and several other teams, including the New York Knicks, try to go ahead and just pick him up, even if you don't think he's that good. Your centers right now, with all due respect, are not good. So he's just another guy that can help you find more balance in that center position, maybe put more pressure on guys to come back and play better. So I think I was going to tell everybody anyway, as you guys, if you follow me close enough, to trade for him because he's a $2 million center. I said, go get a $2 million center. Give me a Bruno Fernando. Well, there he is. He's a free agent, and I still think there's an opportunity for him to help a team from the bench. Not going to play too many minutes. Not expecting him to guard Jokic necessarily, but he's a big body and somebody who can posterize people and probably somebody who can rebound the ball some, set some good screens. So, you know what I mean? That I don't see one reason why the Lakers should not be targeting Bruno Fernando, aside from the fact that we just are unable to create a roster spot. So that's really what it is, man. Maybe there's a way to make that roster spot appear in this San Antonio scenario. I don't have that in my equation, but that should be something we should be looking for, a way to create a roster spot. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Hope everybody's having a fantastic summer. We're going to get through August, and then hopefully when September comes around, we'll be a little closer to having preseason and then summer league is over. I mean, training camp and all of that. So we'll have more to talk about on this channel in regards to the Lakers. So let's just get through August, and we'll be there soon. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDO44. I thank you all for watching.